The Tomorrow War was directed by Chris McKay and is Amazon Prime's newest blockbuster movie release, starring Chris Pratt, J.K. Simmons, Yvonne, Strahovski, and Betty Gilpin, and follows a devoted family man, played by Pratt, as he's conscripted into a war taking place 30 years in the future, where he fights for the safety of humanity and the future generations, all while facing down the demons of his own personal life. So when I first read the synopsis for this movie, two other movies popped into my head right away: Starship Troopers and the Terminator franchise. And those two properties I've seen compared to this movie a lot over the past week since it came out. In media, with critics, with friends. But really, those two movies only contribute in premise alone to what this movie is. But this movie, just like a lot of Prime original movies, does borrow a lot from other sci-fi movies of the past few decades. There are some obvious Alien vs. Predator vibes going on in parts of this movie, obvious Alien 1 vibes going down in this movie, even stuff from War of the Worlds and moments of cliffhanger even in this movie. This movie definitely borrows a lot. And so there's not a whole bunch of originality to it. So it really does remind me of those late 2000s, early 2010s sci-fi action movies like War of the Worlds and like Edge of Tomorrow, which isn't always a bad thing because those movies are great for what they are. And especially in the action of this movie, you can really feel how well put together that type of movie can be. Because even though not much from this movie is original, the action sequences are still spectacular. Visual effects is also very well done. The creature design is absolutely terrifying, as it should be, but also they don't show it until it's absolutely necessary to, which is one of my biggest pluses about this movie, is that they keep the monster a little obscured to get your mind going and play with the fear of the unknown, which is something really important to do when you're doing a creature type movie like this. And it's not something you see done very much in big blockbuster movies like this. And so I applaud how the creature design and how the creatures were handled in this story. But beyond some gorgeous action sequences, both technically and suspensefully, that's about all that's super spectacular about this movie. The whole emotional core of the movie, which was centered around Chris Pratt's character kind of questioning his loyalties to his family and what his moral values are, I found a little bit weak because it kind of focused on stuff that in the timeline hadn't happened yet, so there really was nothing to go on. It's like, yeah, if he's a bad guy in the future, that's not great. He should work on changing it, but he's not a bad guy right now, so there's really not much for him to worry about, I guess. The movie also sets up a lot of ideas that come along with this premise that aren't quite fully explored, especially the idea of the anarchy that would be happening as soon as this announcement of a war in the future is going to end the world is made. Like, yeah, people are going to stop caring about school, but to way more of an extent than it is portrayed in this movie. And I just wish that that was a little more explored, because it is touched on a little bit, but I don't think enough. Speaking of that premise introduction, the introduction and the opening of this movie were the weakest part of it for me. The whole introduction of the premise for the movie is so lazily done. I thought I was dreaming when I was watching the movie. It is just pure exposition. Literally, someone comes on a TV screen and says, there is a war happening in the future. And everyone's just huddled around this TV watching, oh, this is happening now. Like, I could not think of a more lazy way to convey that to the audience. That's just, like, basic screenwriting. It also opens with this weird couple of minutes that are pulled from later in the movie, which I think were only put in there to grab audience attention with an action sequence to start it off, rather than just launching into the first real 20 minutes of this movie, which are actually incredibly slow paced and not very exciting, which I wish the idea of people coming out with a war in the future, that should be an exciting revelation, and stuff should be going down all over the place, and stuff should be going crazy. But that's just not how it's handled in this script. And we also get this awkward time jump where it jumps like 12 months after the announcement. And so all the kind of stakes that could be associated with this event are kind of just not there. Overall, all of these instabilities in the movie kind of make it feel like just a B-tier action movie. And that really is what it is. And if you understand that going into it, you will enjoy yourself. You will have a good time. Try not to think about other movies while you're watching it, or you're going to be pointing out parallels all day long. I'm going to give The Tomorrow War a 6.5 out of 10. At least there's no sequel bait, okay? I can say that. This movie does not set up a sequel. Perfect. Good job. You did the absolute minimum which is required from a modern movie to be not terrible. Anyways, guys, if you liked this, please leave a like on the video to show your support and subscribe to the channel for new reviews coming very soon. And if you want to check out this movie, it is on Amazon Prime, included with Prime. It's also showing in select theaters, so go out and watch it if you're at all interested. I've been Max, this has been Maxify Film Review, and I'll see you in the next one.